Hello, my name is Megan Doyle. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of College Success at Johnson County Community College. Today, the learning strategies presentation we'll be discussing is on test taking strategies. Let's start by talking about how you prepare for test day. It sometimes can make us anxious for test day, so these are 4 strategies to help you be better equipped for your test. Avoid cramming. We know that our memory works better and our brain is thankful when we space out our learning. It's not helpful when you've stayed up all night studying or cramming for the test. Your mind can get overwhelmed during the exam and you can get frustrated. Be physically ready. Sleep is important. Make sure that you're getting good sleep. Make sure you've eaten something that is fueling your body, some protein. We know that Pop-Tarts and Diet Coke are not going to be what's best for your body or for your brain on test day. Prepare your materials. The night before a test, put your notebooks, your notes, your calculator, everything you're going to need, put it in your backpack, put it in your truck or your car, and already have it ready. That way you are prepared. The last thing to prepare for test day is to just get your mind right. Before you walk into your test the day of, make sure that you have gotten up a little bit earlier, you feel confident, maybe you even wear one of your favorite shirts. Try to make sure that you are getting your mind in a confident mode. Say some self-affirmations. Do what you need to do to make sure that your mind is prepared and you are focused, ready for your test. Now we're going to talk about before, during, and after the test and best practices and a few helpful strategies. Before the test begins, listen to your professor. He or she may give you a few oral instructions. They may have decided that the last essay question they're throwing out. So make sure that you're listening to their directions and make sure you read the directions on all parts. It may be easy points, something that you miss if you don't read those directions. The next thing is budget your time. Go through and quickly skim over your test. If there are 3 parts to the test, try to figure out how much you can get done in 45 minutes. If you're in a 50-minute class, once the test is passed out and directions are given, usually you'll have about 45 minutes. Budget your time on how much you can allocate towards each section. That way you don't get overwhelmed and miss an entire section of the test. Do a brain dump. If you have formulas or you have other material that you know you need to get out, write it down on your test. Write the formulas. Write the person's name you need to remember. Write the parts that you need to. Get as much out or dump as much as you can out of your brain and write it down on the side in the margins of your test, so that way your brain isn't overwhelmed trying to continue to figure out how to hold on to that. And then before the test begins, try to have the strategy to move into answering the easiest questions first. Go to the section that you feel most confident. As you continue to move through the questions, your confidence will build and it will be easier for you. You'll use less time focusing on those questions. During the test, some strategies you can use. Underline the keywords. Don't get lost in all the detail of the question. Underline the main points. Underline what it is key that you answer. Look for qualifiers. In multiple choice and true false, a lot of times there will be these absolute words such as all, only, or always. If a true false question says it always does this, it means that there's probably never going to be an exception. And that's something that you will need to think. Is there an exception? Most of the time there can be, but look for these absolute words and these qualifying words. Those will help you figure out what direction you can use when answering the question. Eliminate unlikely answers. If you're reading through a multiple choice question, draw through the lines with a line the ones that you know are incorrect or unlikely. It will automatically do that 50-50 for you so you can start making your best educated guess if need be. Look for longer options. If there is an answer in a multiple choice that has a lot of detail and it looks accurate to you, oftentimes the longer options do tend to be correct. And with the last point here, if you have a question, ask your professor. It is okay to ask them to clarify what the question is asking during a test. After you have finished completing the questions on your exam, here are a few things you should look for. Revisit and answer any skipped questions. When you're taking your test, if you're unsure of a question, circle the number or put a star or a question mark next to it and come back to those. Answer those at the end. Oftentimes, the other questions you will see may give you hints as to what the answer of that question may be. Make sure you go back and look at any questions that you have answered and that you are completing those. Never leave an answer blank, even if it's an essay question. Try to write something or make a guess on a multiple choice or true false. Always answer something. Check for careless errors. If you are doing a math equation and you know that you needed to look through a formula, just go back and you know that sometimes you tend to put a plus sign when it should be a minus sign. Go back and look and make sure you're not making any careless errors. And the last thing here is do not change an answer unless you are certain. Oftentimes we go back and we second guess ourselves and we change our answers when we really didn't need to. A lot of times our gut reaction, our first instinct is correct. Unless you are certain an answer needs to be changed, leave it alone. These are a few strategies for taking a test and what to do after a test. Thanks for listening.